state of the nation. We are exactly a week away from our 65th Independence Day. 15th August is a week away. And all through this week, we are bringing you our exclusive CNN IBN, CNBC TV 18 and Forbes opinion poll done by CSDS. Tonight, we focus on a subject that's become the talking point in society: corruption. Corruption defined not just as a series of scams, but also defined by the anti-corruption movements led by Anna Hazare, Ramdev and others. Tonight we look at how you see corruption. Here are the questions we will be raising over the next hour. Corruption and scam culture have hurt the UPA's image, but how seriously has it dented the government? Who is seen as the more credible face of the anti-corruption movement, Anna Hazare or Baba Ramdev? Is Anna Hazare and his movement an urban phenomenon? Which Lokpal draft is more popular? Is the civil society version of the Lokpal draft really more acceptable to the Aam Aadmi? And what is the best way to deal with corruption? Can strong laws make a difference, or will street protests shake the establishment? And joining us tonight, Harish Salve, senior lawyer, is joining us. We have Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer, Raymond Magsaysay awardee, someone who is an integral part of the Team Anna movement. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, MP and industrialist, joining us. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, MP and spokesperson of the Congress Party. Right in our studio, TSR Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary, and Yogendra Yadav, senior fellow at CSDS. Right then, let's get straight into our findings on corruption. Is the UPA running a corrupt government? We asked. 28% people say that the UPA too is very corrupt. 32% say it is somewhat corrupt. That's 60% people saying the government is corrupt. Another 10% say the government is not that corrupt. Only 5% think there is no corruption in government. With growing support for Anna Hazare and the Lokpal movement, the government's seriousness about curbing corruption has also been questioned by our respondents. 44 of the respondents say that the UPA has not been sincere in responding to issues raised by the anti-corruption movements. 44% also say that the government is shielding those who have their black money in foreign banks. Now, which level of government is most corrupt, we asked. 35% say that the central government is the most corrupt. 24% say that the most corruption is at the state government level. 23% feel that the most corruption happens at the level of the local government, that is panchayat, municipal bodies and other local bodies. Let's put that straight across to Yogendra Yadav. The first big finding, 60% saying that this government is corrupt. The identity of this government has become corruption. And you've written in your analytical piece today in The Hindu that it's a paradox, a great irony that Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi, both known for their personal probity, should preside over such a government.
This is indeed very damning. This is a very strong indictment. Granted that most people perceive most governments to be corrupt most of the time. But even then, this is 1:4 ratio. That's really very bad for a government whose strength used to be its probity, its sense of integrity, that the top two leaders are above such things. I think all the exposures of the last few months, plus the way the government has handled it, apart from a sense of being corrupt, they are also saying insincere about handling it. I think it's the way they handled it.
The fact that they seem to be reactive, not proactive.
Silence at very crucial moments.
Communication
long
deficit.
gaps and so on. This gives you a sense of, did they not know that this was happening? And once they got to know, why did they not act? It's only when a court catches someone, then you say, okay, I, get rid of him. So there is a point at which, initially you are seen to be, okay, the man is sincere, he's trying to do his best. Then these cases come up and you begin to say, but why no action? Why such long silence? And then you begin to say, what do I do with this kind of honesty? Which doesn't yield any transparency in the government, and where the entire government seems to be mired in corruption. So at the moment, This is about perception, of course, but so much of politics is about perception.
It's about perception, and that's a very important issue. Harish Salve, let's put that to you. Is it the perception or is it the reality? Because let's face it, corruption is not new in India. We've had the Bofors case, we've had the Hawala scandals, we've had corruption cases in different state governments. Is it that this regime is particularly corrupt? Or is it because the media and the kind of media scrutiny that there is on all the scandals, the 2G scam, the Commonwealth Games scam, is leading to the perception of corruption? Or do you feel that in fact it's unjustifiable to call this government the most corrupt government in the history of independent India as it is being called?
Three things, Sagarika. First is this government has seriously breached the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not be caught. So, corruption is timeless, corruption is egregious, but they have breached the 11th commandment. The second is the public perception of their reaction to corruption. It smacks of firefighting rather than a commitment to deal with a problem. And at times, candid confessions that the compulsions of coalition politics make you look the other way. And the third is a general revulsion which people have against a governance deficit with which we are suffering. And let me very quickly take the CWG scam. As a Delhiite, I'm willing to believe the worst. Why am I willing to believe the worst? Because every day when I go out, I see wrongly aligned flyovers. The traffic is worse than ever after road widening. I saw roads being removed, some pavements being redone which are as bad as ever. And somebody told me lighting in my city has been changed. Really? I didn't notice. So there is a...
But are you looking at the glass? Are you looking at the glass as half empty or half full? Kiran Bedi, many would say that what has actually happened has been remarkable. 5 top corporate honchos are in jail. An ex-IAS officer is in jail. 3 very senior politicians are in jail. They're in jail number 1 in Tihar. Now, this would have been unthinkable a few years ago. Such powerful politicians like Raja and Kanimozhi would not have been touched perhaps by the law. Now they have been. The government has acted. Many would say that this is something at least to be hopeful for. How can you then continue to keep on saying this is the most corrupt government in the history of India?
No, the government has been corrupt. You've had amazing corruption. The government has been at its worst.
But the government has acted. It has acted. You can argue that the government at the end of the day has acted.
Has the government acted? Or has the media acted? Or has the civil society acted? Have the political parties acted? And the Honorable Supreme Court acted? I would give full credit to the Supreme Court. It is nobody other than the Supreme Court, because all other agencies, civil society, political parties, media can shout horse, but where it changes is when the Supreme Court says enough is enough. And I think that is where the change has been in the Supreme Court in the last year and a half. I hope this trend continues. And along with this trend, if we get an effective Jan Lokpal bill, we are in for a change. But if the Supreme Court becomes milder, I'm telling you, nothing will work. You can shout horse as a media, you can show evidence, civil society, Anna can sit on a fast, opposition parties can be lathi charged, and parliament can miss the sessions. It will not work. Only thing which is working in this country, my friend, is the phatkar. It's a phatkar of the Supreme Court. It has done it on the police, it's done it on enforcement agencies, and it's done it on the government. Government is only scared of one arm of this government, which is the Supreme Court.
So it's the Supreme Court that is actually making the anti-corruption movement possible. But Rajiv Chandrasekhar, I want to again come to you and re-emphasize whether we should hold this government particularly guilty of corruption and define corruption by this particular UPA too. Because after all, what we're seeing is systemic corruption that has grown in India for ages. The discretionary power of politicians, the discretionary power of bureaucrats, the fact that there is no regulation of natural resources. These are systemic issues that the Indian system has dealt with for decades. Now, is it fair to just blame this particular dispensation for all those ills?